Very good morning to all of you. I welcome you all to yet another Sunday satsang organized by North America Institute of Vihangam Yoga. My name is Amit Talekar and I have joined this satsang from North Carolina. I'll be your host for this session. As we know, being on the spiritual journey can be challenging sometimes. The path is met with many obstacles. Questions and concerns and doubts may arise at any point in time. We sometimes feel stuck or just spinning our wheels in need of some external insight or inspiration. Or perhaps we just wish to share our spiritual story with others. Satsang provides the opportunity and support to clarify all our doubts. Satsang is important because it provides a supportive community for personal growth, learning, inspiration, and healing. It offers a safe and encouraging environment for all the individuals to explore and deepen their spiritual practice. The word satsang is made up of two words, sat meaning truth and sang meaning together. A satsang, therefore, is a gathering together to seek the truth. I am glad that you all are joining today, looking forward to know more on today's deep dive topic. Throughout the week, we are busy fulfilling our materialistic needs. So next hour and a half, let's focus on the main purpose of life via this medium of satsang. In today's satsang, we are going to do a deep dive on the topic, what is missing in my meditation? So without further delay, let's start today's session. We're going to go through the Swarved wisdom. And I request Lal Miniji to please come forward and share a couple of couplets from Swarved.
Yes, thank you very much, Amit ji. We all know that Swarved Doha has been composed by Sadhguru Sadafal Dev Ji Maharaj, when he was at the Chetan Samadhi state. And we also call it as encyclopedia of spirituality. And not only that, this is not a very common book. This is completely experience based. A knowledge has been provided into this Granth, Swarveda Granth. So, but the depth of every Doha is immense. Where I don't feel I'm at that level. Even smallest part of it probably I would not suffice on that. But what I'm trying to convey here is that whatever is my understanding, and again my understanding can be wrong also at some point, so whatever is my understanding, I just wanted to convey to all the participant, so that they get inspired, they get motivated, and they start learning it by themselves. So that's why self study of Swarved is very much needed in order to continue learning about Swarve Doha and its meaning. So last weekend we went through first this fifth battle and fifth chapter and Doha number 1 and 2. We'll just touch base on these two Doha, and then we'll move on to the next Doha. So the first Doha was which you can see on the screen. It says धन काया मन वचन से संत परम गुरु सेव आरत दीन धीन हो अनुगामी गुरुदेव. So through this doha, Swamiji is saying that if you want to do seva of a Sadguru, a Param Guru, a Sant, then there are four ways to do seva. To serve the Sadguru, there are four ways. One is through dhan, through monetary help. The other one is physically, which is kaya. And third one is mentally, man se. And the fourth one is vocally, through vachan. So these are the four different ways through which you can do seva to Sadgurudev. And we explained in last session itself what are the granular level, how people can do vocally, physically, and all that details. So we'll not go into that detail, but just wanted to touch base. The second doha was Sadguru आज्ञानियम में कर सिद्धांत प्रचार वर तो सहज स्वभाव में सेवा चरण आधार. So in this doha, it is more about the pracharak. So Sadgurudev is saying that when we become a pracharak, when we start spreading this knowledge to the entire humankind, then still we should be under the discipline of Sadguru. We cannot just break that barrier and spread this knowledge as per I understand, as per I think. Okay, it's not based on my thinking, it is not based on my understanding. It is you always have to stick to the rules and guidelines and discipline of Sadguru, and then only basically that's the correct way of spreading this knowledge. Now this is the third one which we are starting today. So again, like the last weekend, I want volunteers. So I want somebody to read the Doha, and then some other volunteer will read the Bhashya. So first, let's start with Doha. Who can volunteer and read Doha?
Lalmani ji, Jai Sadgurudev, Monica here. Are you asking to read Doha right now or next week?
Yeah, no, right now. Just read the Doha that is on the slide.
I can.
Please.
Okay. Ananya Sharana Ashtik Yasin Sadhu Ananya Sharana Asti Yasin Sadguru Sadguru Niyamuna Tuti Pran Japya Toja Sadguru Niyamuna Tuti Pran Japya Toja.
Yeah, thank you, Monica ji. I think your voice was a little bit breaking, but still we can make out. I want some other volunteer who can read the Bhashya on the screen.
Jai Sadgurudev, Srirang here. I will read the Bhashya. अनन्य शरण एवं आस्तिक्य भाव से सद्गुरु की सेवा करनी चाहिए। सद्गुरु के नियम मर्यादा का उल्लंघन कभी न हो, भले ही अपने प्राण जावे।
Thank you very much, Srirang ji. So now, based on the Bhashya, there are two very important word, Ananya Sharan. Ananya Sharan, if you go with the meaning of this word, Ananya, which means just one, single one, one and only one, Sharan. So that means when we develop the level of devotion at the level where you have only one Sharan. You are under the shelter of only one entity, and that is Sadguru. That is Ananya Sharan. So you don't kind of go and go behind anybody else. For you, as long as Sadguru is there, you don't need anybody, you don't need any other shelter. So when we develop that level of devotion, that for me, as long as Sadguru is with me, I don't need anybody. I don't go anywhere else. Sadguru is everything for me. And that too with a full confidence. You don't have any single doubt. Then when we reach to that level, Ananya Sharan, Astikya se, then it says Sadguru Seva Ay. So when we develop that level of devotion, then we start getting seva opportunity, Sadguru seva opportunity, Sadguru seva Ay. So remember one thing, that and it is not just when you reach to that level, then only you get the Sadguru seva. But as you are in the journey, in the process, still you start getting seva opportunity. That's where many a time uh, in Amritwani Swamiji says that how do you know that Sadguru is happy with your seva, with your devotion, with your uh, you know satsang or whatever thing that you are doing? How can you determine whether Sadguru is happy or not? Swamiji says that whenever you get seva opportunity, you get seva opportunity only when Sadguru is happy. You just don't get any seva opportunity if Sadguru is not happy. And it is kind of a ripple effect. Once you get seva opportunity, you work on it, you do it, whatever best way you can do. Sadguru becomes more happy, then he will give you more opportunity, more seva opportunity. So you keep getting it. And there might be a time when you cut off yourself from the seva opportunity. You are getting the seva opportunity, but you try to bring your excuse in between, that okay, I'm busy here, I have to do this, then that. You are trying to cut the string off yourself. Then you start noticing that seva opportunity will start going away from you. And then again, when things will turn up, you develop your that surrenderness, the bhav, then probably again things will come up. So we need to develop this bhav, that for me, just Sadguru is the only Aadhar, the only base. I don't need to go any other place, for any kind of blessings also. And then the second line says, Sadguru niyam na tutai pran jai to jai. This is, I would say, the extreme of that devotion we need to attain. So he says that when whatever Sadguru has defined, the duty, the routine, the discipline, or whatever you say, we should never try to violate that. Okay, Sadguru niyam na tutai pran jai to jai. Even if we are at the verge of losing our life, still what Swamiji says, that your duty, your routine, your discipline, you should not quit that. You should always stay within that realm. You should always stay within that boundary of Sadguru. You should never become a manmukhi. Always stick to yourself and be a guru mukhi. Whatever guru wants, try to do that. So this is what he's trying to convey the message. Now let's go to the next doha. Before going that, I just want to open up the forum if anyone wants to share their own how they if or they have any question or anything, please come forward.
Jai Sadgurudev Lalmaniji,
Yes, sir.
could you please explain the niyam that we need to follow? Seva
So,
ka?
yeah. So first of all, niyam, in general, when we get into Vihangam yoga, always think this way that okay, the common niyam, the duty routine that is given to every disciple is more like okay, you should attend satsang, you should do sadhana, and you should do seva. You should stick to all these three pillars. That's the prime, duty for all of us. With whatever extent, if you are able to just do meditation morning, evening, that's okay, but do it. If you are able to do in Brahm Muhurt, do it. If you are able to do seva maybe for 5-10 minutes, okay, do it. So that's one thing that we have to stick to that. Second thing is that sometimes Sadguru Deva specifically when he becomes really happy, then based on the status of that disciple, Sadguru Dev will give some specific guidelines. For example, I know, like you might have heard about this person, Sachidanandji. Sachidanandji, he's again from my village, and I remember that now since childhood he was following Vihangam yoga, and his level and at one point of time Swamiji told him that now you should not sit for meditation. Okay, your sadhana is complete. So now all your time should. So since then, Sachidanandji, um, he does not need to do sadhana. He has already completed. There are some disciples. For him, Swamiji says that okay, now you don't have to do any seva. Now just go full sadhana practice. So maybe they give some strenuous sadhana to do, like you might have to go in a cave or somewhere and just meditate for couple months. So all these different duty we hear from Sadguru Dev time to time, but in general our duty is to stick to these three pillars: seva, sadhana, and satsang. And of course, listen to Amritwani. Swamiji says so many things in Amritwani also, that okay, as a normal human being, you should also do some yogasana, stay healthy. You do yogasana, do walking. You should always try to attend the Varshikotsav. Once in a while, you should get darshan of Sadgurudev. So there are a couple of these niyam, the duty that Swamiji has defined. I don't remember everything on top of my head, but you keep hearing, these things, through some Guru Bhai, Guru Bahan, or even in Amritwani. Probably that will give you more insight on niyam. Hope I answered the question.
Yeah, Lalwanji, good morning, and yes, Sadhguru. One question I have, Niranjan. Does Sadhguru also mention about when the seva is for Sadhguru and also for the community, for human beings? Does he mention about that also, or?
Yes, yes. So he has mentioned that and that probably we will go through in one of the Doha also. Swamiji has mentioned that there are different types of seva. There are different levels of seva. and all has its own importance, but he has also defined what is the best seva. Like now, when you do seva, you eventually you spend time, you spend some money, you spend some thought process, all these things. Like in the previous doha that we saw, right? There are 4 ways to do seva: man, kaya, vachan, and dhan, right? So all these 4 ways of doing seva. But he has also defined that when you do seva, there are different levels of doing seva. So we should, and I don't want to cover here right now, because we will spend a lot of time on that. When that doha will come, probably will come to know. But we need to know which seva is the best, which I want to do that seva.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, in Bhagavad Gita also, right? While doing the seva, your man has to be in the guru or the divine. So any seva when with the mind attached to the divine is probably the param seva. Either directly to the guru or divine, or to their children, or to their parts in their humanity. But the man is always, it's like I keep saying to a lot of people, that as long as your pointer is pointed at the right direction, everything that you do is basically is helping, is in the right direction. Yeah, thank you.
Jai Sadguru Lalmani ji, what is best seva?
Okay. So now, okay, since you asked, so let's go in detail also. What is the best seva? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So whenever you do seva, and again, I still want to cut short, because we have other session also, other part of the satsang. But whenever you do seva, actually, if you think logically, somehow you are helping the other person. Okay. So I'll just give some example. Suppose I walk on a street and I see a man, maybe a beggar. Okay. If I see a beggar, if I'm a good person, nice person, I see that okay, this person is in pain, in sufferings and all that. How can I help? Okay, there are different ways I can help. One is maybe I can give some money, I can donate some money to that person, so at least that person can use that money to eat food, or whatever they want. But my duty is just to donate some money. That's one seva. What is the life of that seva that we did, or the existence of the result of that seva? It's basically that short time. Like if I donated some money just to have a single meal, probably it will that person would be out of that pain only during that time, as long as his stomach is full. After maybe the next meal time, again he goes back to same hungry state. Or maybe even if he eats for entire day, next day again he goes back to a hungry state, right? The next person walks to the same street, he thinks, okay, instead of paying money or donating some money to that person, why should not I give that person a job? So if I give that person a job, then that person does not rely on somebody else's donation. That person will just do the job, earn money, and then feed himself. But that also again has some limitation. He cannot be out of suffering for entire life, or the next life, right? Now I go to the extreme, the third one, the highest one. The person walks in, and he sees that okay, this person is of course suffering, and he's more spiritual person. Probably he knows that okay, this suffering is because of his own karma. The way he has performed his karma, he is getting the result of it. But what should I do? What I'll do is, maybe okay, I will of course feed him. I will make sure that he knows how to earn. But on top of it, I want to give him the knowledge of Brahma Vidya also. When I give him the knowledge of Brahma Vidya, the knowledge of Brahma Vidya is not limited to this life, but this knowledge carries forward to next life as well. So when we give that, of course, I'm not saying that even if the person is hungry, you just give him the knowledge of Brahm Vidya. No, when he is capable of gaining this knowledge, okay, then you give that knowledge, then that knowledge will transform not only his life but many other lives also, and his life. And whenever he I don't know, I mean, if he takes another birth, probably that life will that journey will continue, the spiritual life, and then he might get liberated. So in a way, what I'm trying to say is that when we spread the knowledge of Sadguru, the Brahma Vidya knowledge, then we are kind of taking that person, helping that person to get out of this sufferings, which we are, I think, for a long time we are suffering, in this life for a long time. But this knowledge will give them the strength, the courage, the direction, how to get out of all these. So basically, in a nutshell, Sadguru Seva, the spreading of this knowledge, is the best Seva. Okay.
Jai Sadgurudev, Srirang here. So I would like to add, a couple of points if, time permits.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think one thing that I learned, from my own experience, that when we just think about, doing the best thing, that is probably not the right thing to do all the time. And I will, give example of my early days of Vihangam Yoga when I started meditation, right? We all know that best time to meditate is Brahma Muhurat time. But and then I, initially I was very focused on doing the best thing, and what I quickly learned is that doesn't always work. So I think we should not always think that I just want to do the best thing, and specifically when it comes to seva, there is no seva which is small or no seva is big. I mean, yes, Sadgurudev says that giving Brahma Vidya knowledge is the best seva, but that we should not always think that I am just going to get involved in the seva which is best, because there are a lot of different kinds of sevas which are out there. And we should take part in whatever seva is given to us, regardless of how small or big it is. So this I would say that getting seva opportunity is the, I would say, blessing from Sadguru. So we should not deny any seva. Be it can be very simple seva. In one of our last satsangs we discussed that one of the disciple was given seva of just sitting in the ashram, right? uh, and that was the best seva for him. That is why Sadgurudev gave him that seva. So we should keep in mind that we should not always think that I want to get involved in the best seva, but whatever seva is given to me, that is the best seva for me at that time. So, we should take every opportunity of seva that is given to us, and, stay blessed. I mean, that is what I would say. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that is correct. What Shirangji is saying, again, I think, Shirangji, what you're saying is more, again, doing seva within that Vihangam Yoga community, right? Uh, like, no, in case of, say, in Navy, we have many types of seva where, it could be maybe just making a phone call, or maybe just maintaining some Excel sheet, maybe just creating a flyer. It could be just maybe in event, standing in the parking lot and helping people to park their cars. Of course, all these contribute to Vihangam Yoga, spreading the knowledge. not only this, even if we extend little bit to this, the what I'm trying to also say is that in the back of your mind, if you keep that, whatever seva I'm doing, small or big, whatever seva I'm doing, how it is contributing to the spread of the knowledge. Okay, so and why I'm saying this, because see, there could be one, hold on, there could be one are you able to listen to me? I don't know if it was some.
Yes, Lalmanji, we are able to hear you.
So it could be that, okay, I don't know why, hold on. All right, so yeah, so I think it has, I would say, a long discussion to do. Let's keep it separate probably. But I totally agree with you, Shrangji, also. Okay, what you are saying is correct. But let's discuss it in future session in more detail.
Ji, Lalmanji.
Yeah. So yeah, so I think our time is now over for this one, but we will stop here and we'll continue in the next session for the other Doha. So back to Amit.
Can I read the Bhashya?
We went through the Bhashya also, Suryaji. That's what
Already?
we
Oh,
discussed.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry to cut short. Please go ahead, Amitji.
Thank you, Lalmaniji, for walking us through the survey part. All right. So with that, we are moving to the next phase of satsang, where we are going to deep dive into the question for today. And the question is, what is missing in my meditation? To answer this question, we have a dedicated disciple of Swamiji, Dr. Subhash Chandraji. So he's joining today, and he has been present on the previous sessions as well. So he has presented multiple times, and he basically brings in the context of medical science plus the spiritual science, right? And that blend, basically, with that blend, he explains the topic very well. So Subhash, I welcome you on this forum, and request you to please guide us on this question.
Thank you, Amit Talekarji. And thank you to the organizers who make this session happen. All those listeners without whom there is no session. And the participation, the involvement to offer all of us this moment of knowledge, which would not have been possible in our day-to-day life. So thanks to everyone. And again, the topic that I have chosen today is based on my own experience. So it may not apply to everyone. In this satsang, we have experienced devotees and disciples. It may not apply to them. So please keep that in mind for this session. So the topic of today, what is missing in my meditation? There are so many facets, and which I have divided into 5. And we will see whatever we cover in the given time that we have. First, am I really thirsty? Or I think that I am thirsty? The second heading will be, am I an individual? Or I am part of this cosmos? Third, why it saddens me when my loved ones are suffering, whereas when others are suffering, who are not my loved ones, I just feel sorry, but I do not have any real emotion. People meditate because it is necessary. Not people, let's say I. I meditate because it is necessary for my well-being, mental, emotional, physical well-being. Is that the way it should have been? Or meditation should have been an integral part of my existence, just as my breath is. We meditate for, let's say, an hour a day or 2 hours a day. What is also important is, what are we doing with the remaining 22 to 23 hours? With this, we'll go back to the first topic. Am I really thirsty, or I think that I am thirsty? I'd like to bring this forward with a simple story. The story is of two travelers going through a village. The first traveler felt thirsty while crossing the village. On his footsteps, he looked around, looked for some source of water, some hand pump. He couldn't find any. He looked further. So he did put some effort, and with that effort, he could see a well. He came near the well, looked down, he saw water. He was happy that now his thirst will be quenched. But to draw water from that well, he needed a rope and a bucket. He looked around further. As he thought he's doing his best, he could not find a rope or a bucket. Being disappointed, he moved on and he continued to walk on his journey that he was pursuing. Whereas the second traveler in the same village, when he gets thirsty, looks around, and he found the same well filled with water. He faced the same problem. I have no bucket, I have no rope to draw the water to drink. He looked around and around and around, and he found some tall grasses at a distance. He traveled that distance, plucked those tall grasses, and wove it into a rope. Similarly, when looking around, he also found something similar to a bucket which can hold some water. With the rope that he made, with the bucket that was something like bucket which can hold water, he was able to draw water from the well and quench his thirst. What does this tell us? We are on this path of meditation. We feel we are thirsty for it. What is more important is, it has not to be just a feeling, because feeling and emotions, they are transitory, they just pass by. More important is, if it is needed and to what extent it is needed. So see, if there was no well and he was genuinely thirsty, which the second traveler was, he would have to dig a well there, spending maybe months. If he is all by himself, maybe years to dig a well. But this gyan of this knowledge of Vihangam Yoga, where our Sadguru, our Swami, has already dug a well for us. He has spent years and years, and we have the well in front of us. We sitting in this satsang are privileged to see the well, privileged that we have our friends, our people whom we know with us to walk to the well, and we walk together to the well. Now here all the difference happens. Are you really thirsty? Or you think you are? Because if you just think you are thirsty, you find it difficult to draw the water from that well, and you continue with your life. So only those who are willing to take that extra measure will be able to draw that water. You will have to understand that being different makes all the difference. There are so many people across the globe who are meditating. I'm not talking about those people who have no awareness of meditation. Let's keep them aside. I'm talking about those people who understand meditation, who claim to understand meditation, understand its benefit. But merely by knowing something, it does not mean that you appreciate or you are aware of its value in your life. Because when that comes in, you cross all boundaries, all limitations, and you make it happen. Swamiji says in Swarveda, there are so many examples of that intense devotion. He says, Sheep madhya samudra mein, chit lagi tahi akash mein. Sheep madhya samudra mein, in the mid of the ocean, you have that sheep. Chit lagi tahi akash mein, and the focus is not in the ocean. Even if he lives in the ocean, to quench his thirst, it comes on the surface of the ocean. For the Swati Bund. So sheep madhya samudra mein chit lagi tahi akash mein bund swati paye ur bhar moti ban priya pasami. So that drop of Swati Nakshatra is what it is longing for. And for that, it waits and waits and waits and have patience for the right time. And it does not drink any water other than the boon, the drop from Swati Nakshatra. And only then he is able to make that moti ban priya pasami. Swamiji further says, Yukti yogi somras bhandar sukh ur khub chakhe. Yukti yogi som ras bhandar sukh ur khub chakhe. सहज चेतन बन कला में तन रहे पुनि पर थके. Dictating the importance of the devotion, the commitment, the longing that one needs to have in this path of meditation. We have the knowledge what meditation is supposed to give. Knowledge is at the level of our mind, our intellect. More important is awareness, appreciation. Until and unless we have that, we'll continue on this path of life feeling thirsty, but not making the real effort that one needs to quench it. And that devotion comes from prem, comes from your commitment, your desire. Again, the word desire is not relevant here, because really the word desire and commitment comes at the level of your mind, and we are talking beyond mind. But in this body, at this level of thought that we have, that is where it begins. Swamiji says, प्रथम भूमि का प्रेम है, भक्ति नहीं बिन प्रेम, भक्ति बिना कस मुक्ति है, नर जीवन मनि प्रेम. प्रथम भूमि का प्रेम है. Here that word pratham bhumi is the way meditation begins. It has to be with the prem, the auspicious love towards that divine. Bhakti nahi bin prem. When we talk about bhakti, you cannot have that bhakti if you lack love. And without that bhakti, you cannot have mukti. So the mool, the core, the root is the intense devotion and prem, and willing to go every mile for it. Now, it is easier said than done. So I always believe in deriving examples from our day-to-day life. We love our kids, we love our partners, we love our parents. Let's say your son, your daughter, if someone is ill or sick, what happens to you? Your chetna, your entire thought process, everything gets diverted to the one whom you love who is not happy, to the one who is suffering, the physical suffering that your loved one is experiencing. Your parents are sick. Even if they are back in India, you are still constantly thinking about how to address it, how to make sure that their suffering is alleviated to some extent at least. When was the last time you felt about, when was the last time you felt the same about your own suffering? Because so far, we, you, me, we lack the realization that we are suffering until and unless we feel that suffering, we are not going to be bestowed with the feeling of prem and bhakti, and obviously there will be no mukti. So these life examples where we are shattered, we are full of grievances and grief when it comes to our loved ones. When was the last time we seek so much from Sadguru, and we seek that he will give me this, he will give me that? When was the last time we were in pain and suffering or thought anything about the well-being of Sadguru and Ashram Parivar? Look at our unilateral greed in all this. In real world, in the Prakritic world, we are aware of give and take, correct? But here, when it comes to the spiritual world, we make it all unidirectional. You are not willing to give anything. You are not willing and open to that devotion, but you want everything in return. We have a kid, a son or a daughter. We give our love with some expectation, or maybe no expectation, that once they grow up, they will take care of you. You want Sadguru to take care of you. You want Sadguru to relieve you of all your suffering. When was the last time you loved Sadguru? When was the last time you suffered from Sadguru's humanly sufferings? There is a discussion of a disciple who was always with Sadhguru, who would take care of everything, and the daily needs, putting water near the chair where Sadhguru will sit down to talk to the disciple, take care of cleaning of the clothes, cleaning of that room, the food, everything that one can think of. One day when he learned that Sadhguru has pain somewhere in the body, he started suffering that pain. That is the kind of connection we are talking about. When you do not have that connection, you still get a lot from that Sadhguru without giving anything for what you are seeking. So the best way to understand this is, even for our day-to-day life, our family, our job, the kind of commitment we have. I have had people who said that, oh, I have meditated for a month, I do not feel anything. What about those vasanas and tendencies that you have accumulated for years and years? How do you expect that to go down in just a month? To nurture your body, the body that you have to leave, the body that is made from Sat Raj Tam, from this Prakriti. And when you die, this body will go away. For this body, you spent years and years nurturing it. The entire school system, in that school and the 10th grade, you learn you have to do something big so that you can have a good life. And the definition of good life is, maybe you will go to USA, a developed country, you'll have your new house, your big car, your family. For all that, we spent years and years of hard work. We burned the midnight oil, we passed multiple tests, exams, go through so many different kind of torture for this. Do we really understand that meditation is for happiness, for our soul, for myself, for me? No. If we did, if we spent even 1% of what we have spent constantly throughout this life in building this life of this Sat, Raj and Tamogun, which will not exist when we die, that will be the time meditation will begin. That is where the real meditation begins, when you have self-realization. When you know that I am not just this individual, I am a part of this cosmos. Knowing is again different from appreciating it. If we compare you and me, it will be more like I look different, but we both have the eyes, nose, tongue, mouth, head. But still we are two different human beings. For example, I compare me and Lalmani ji. And thank you, Lalmani ji, for Sarved part. And it is a very beneficial task, that beneficial, thank you for initiating it. So let's say me and Lalmani ji, we are two different human beings. That is the individuality that we have in our mind. But if we remember that we are not individual people, we are a part of this cosmos, we are deriving energy from this cosmos, whether Lalmani ji or me, if our nose is blocked and deprived of oxygen for a few minutes, what would happen? No life, life is gone. So we keep fighting for main, mera, mere liye. Everything is about self, but we forget that there is no self. At a molecular level, we are part of this universe. And the time this realization begins in you, that very moment, compassion develops. Compassion is one of the core traits of spirituality. Why? because you forget the self. You remember yourself not as self. You realize what you are. And that is one step near to that Supreme Soul. That is the time when we learn not to suffer from our pain. So here is the concept that we forget that we are an individual. We are not just an individual, but we are a part of this cosmos. And everything is happening for a reason. Everything is happening with its predetermined fate. We have heard it so many times. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita talks about it. Every spiritual literature talks about it. But let me tell you a story which clearly says that we have nothing to do with it, no matter how many times it is told to us. It's just like a parrot, a story of a parrot, where the parrot was told, it's in Hindi, शिकारी आएगा, जाल बिछाएगा, दाना डालेगा, जाल में फंसना नहीं. शिकारी आएगा, जाल बिछाएगा, दाना डालेगा, जाल में फंसना नहीं. So the parrot keeps repeating it, singing it like a song, and still it goes near that food particle, and it gets trapped in that cage, in that jal, in that. So this is the same thing that we are doing. We read things, we learn things, we keep repeating it, but we lose the essence of what we are talking about, or what we are listening, or what we are preaching. The story is of a ship. A ship was sailing. Something happened. The waves of the oceans were so profound, it was so profound that the ship broke down. Everyone on that ship died except one person. He thanked God, that God, thank you for saving me, and I'm alive. So he thanked God for the life. So let's go a little bit back. So everyone died. He found himself on an island where the waves of the ocean has thrown him. He was alive, he was breathing, but he was all alone on a deserted, isolated island. So he started complaining to God again. First, he was thankful that he is alive, but then he's complaining because if you focus, you see it's all about him. So he started complaining to God, why you have thrown me on this deserted island? There is no food, nothing to survive. I'm all alone, I'm lonely. Months passed. He learned the skill set of surviving lonely in an island by fishing, by eating coconuts and whatnot. No help ever came. One day, he learned that he has to live here for longer. So he built a hut to prevent him from those strong winds and the piercing sunlight sometimes. So he was getting settled a little bit. And he was living in that hut. He had already made and prepared this safety home for himself. He also managed to create fire so that he can keep some light when it gets dark. So everything was in the right path. One day in the evening, when he went out fishing, he came back, his hut was on fire. Because of the fire that he had left, the hut was burning, and he cursed God, that God, what you have against me? what you are doing to me, and why it is happening to me. First, you threw me on this island. Now I learned to survive. Then you took away the only thing that I had built. And crying like that, he slept. He woke up next morning and he saw there was a ship. There was a ship at the island waving him. It came to pick him. So he was on the ship. Now he asked the captain of the ship, "How did you find me? And why, how did you come here? I've been stuck here for 2 years now." The captain said, "You generated a fire signal." He said, "No, I did not generate any kind of signal, so-called fire signal." He told, "No, we saw fire. And then we realized that someone is caught on that island." And then he realized that his hut was on fire because it had a bigger purpose. So it's not what he thinks or what he thinks is right or wrong in that moment. This is not the way it has to be. If we really believe in that God, which he keeps calling, keeps cursing, you have to understand the day-to-day pain of the life, which we convert into suffering by thinking about it over and over again and again in our mind, is generated from self. Everything else on the outside is predetermined. You are not the one to control it. But any moment, anything changes, anything that happens against our wish, we cry in pain. And that shows we do not believe. We do not believe in that supreme power. We do not believe that that supreme power, whatever happens with his plan, is way better than what would happen under my plan, under my imagination, or under my thinking. So this story has the gist that you may be in pain, you may be in suffering, but you have to realize, every time if you realize that you are an individual soul and you are in association with this Prakriti, not your soul. And until and unless you understand the real nature of your soul and the real nature of that supreme soul, there is no bhakti, there is no meditation. I do not mean to convey that what we do is not meditation. All I'm conveying is that yes, with meditation, we get that transient pleasure where our mind stops wavering, we feel relaxed, we feel calm. So if that is what we want, then we get it. We get it by daily meditation. But our journey is way beyond that. We are still at a place where we have not even begun the journey. How many times we have reminded ourselves that I'm just a soul. I'm not this body. I'm not me, the me who fights, the me who craves, the me who gets angry, who feels resentful if the job does not go as he or she wishes, who feels sad if he's unable to buy the house that one feels that he or she deserves. How many times you have reminded that I am not this body, I am not this hand, I am not this leg, I am a soul. At my molecular level, I am a soul. And because I am a soul, these sufferings are of the body. These emotions are because I have this body, which I will be losing the day I die. When we celebrate someone's birthday, we do not celebrate their birth. The reality is we falsely, ignorantly celebrate the possession of this body, but not someone's birth. We need to differentiate ourselves from our body and understand that we are a part of this cosmos, and we have to not be grieved or be in pain with the false knowledge that I am one individual, this is my family. The day you feel that everyone on this earth is your family, that awareness, because everyone is a part of this cosmos, so am I, so everyone is my family. That is the time meditation begins, the awareness, the self-realization. When something happens to our loved ones, we feel sad. Oh, it's my son, my daughter. Simple example. So many people are dying in Ukraine in this war. How many times we cried or we felt that sadness because they are the part of the same cosmos, made up of same molecule that you are made up of. So there's more similarity there, but we never, ever cried for people who are dying every day in Ukraine. But we cry when our so-called loved ones, the ones whom we think we are biologically related. I see that the time is 11:50, so I'll stop here, and maybe some other time we'll carry on with the next of the other topics, and I will let the time for Pratna and Shanti Path and Arti. Thank you again for everyone for patient listening and giving me this opportunity. And I feel privileged. And as I said, everything that I'm sharing is not targeted at anyone. It is what I feel, and I hope you find it helpful. Jai Sadgurudev.
Thank you so much, Dr. Subhashji, for explaining this topic with the help of surveyed verses and with so many examples. So probably we'll take one question here. So from audience, if anyone has any question, maybe please unmute your line and we'll take one question.
I have no question actually, but just a comment. I think Subhasji spoke from his purity of his heart and mind. Actually, I just wanted to kind of, because he touched upon topics which are very, very, very pragmatic, which is like he touched upon the Ukraine. I actually think about that almost every day. That how can we go and live our lives and negotiate business and in the pursuit of fulfilling greed, and not even asking the leaders that, hey, if you pull down your ego, the shell of ego that you have imprisoned yourself in, and sit down and talk it out, because all the sacrifice is about accumulations, land, wealth, and so on. And that's where I think the and meditation, I keep hearing, listening to articles that a pretty large percentage of US population have started to meditate, but obviously it is not working, because if it was working, you would have a different kind of society. So I think the meditation is not the act that we do for 1 hour, 2 hours. I think the Vihangam Yoga is very unique, because this is about asking for love and the grace for the Sadguru, which is the highest connection. It's like you're trying to make sure that your connection is there continuously. But I think we are all carrying a piece of Sadguru within ourselves. And the 22 hours that when we are not meditating, we have to be constantly reminded about. And I think you beautifully touched upon this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Niranjanji, for sharing your thoughts.
Just Gurudev, I just wanted to thank Dr. Subhashji for his time and sharing his wisdom with us today, and I appreciate that greatly. I appreciate it every time. Thank you, Dr. Subhashji.
Thank you, Devji.
all. Thank you both, and I appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
And actually, these are not just kind words. Like you said, compassion is the foundation of yoga. When the Almighty had the compassion, and that's how the cycle of creation and dissolution happens. It's so the very core is compassion. If human beings would not have that, they will never see others as part of themselves, as a cosmic family, which is yoga, which aham brahmasmi. It will not be there. And that is the gist of yogas. Everybody knows the name of yoga, but not the essence of it. So I think, thank you.
Thank you, Niranjanji. So looking at the time, we'll move to the last phase of this session. Quick announcement for the winners. So warriors of this week. So warriors are the one who are meditating throughout the Brahma Muhurta period for the last week. And the names are Surya Alamraju ji, Bhagwati Patel ji, Tejinder ji, Maya ji, Yogesh Sagar ji, Shirang ji. So thank you so much, all of you, for keeping us motivated on the path of Brahma Muhurta meditation. And inductees of the week are the one who are trying to meditate for the 7 days, but for a couple of days they missed because of other priorities. And the inductees of the week are Lalmani ji, Prachi Shirsagar ji, Vinita ji, and Tanuja ji. So again, thank you all for keeping us motivated on this path of meditation.